BalconyTV. Dí von Greenon Telefís Kirky, Tommy on saw Laura and Ish, son Greenon, Elizabeth and Fort Gurkig, and today on the show we've two very special guests. We have Conor McManus and COLL SCULLY, and what are you gonna perform for us today?
The song. It's a piece of prose with a song included.
Very good, and it's you've written the piece. Is this from your book?
This has been published in Conor. It has been published already.
And what's the name of your piece?
The song.
It's a song. Oh, it's called The Song. Sorry, Top Runner. Okay, take it away.
That Sunday, a golden retriever with a brown collar was jumping up at the window in our kitchen, trying to eat a blue bottle. With his paws on the low sill, he'd sat sideways at the fly, buzzing and banging off the glass. Music was coming from the front bar, and the potatoes were boiling on the back ring. Emmett was standing at the cooker with a cigarette dangling from his mouth, bowron in hand. He wore a black leather waistcoat, black beard and black glasses. He moved the carrots off to one side to warm the bowron. He was leaning back and squinting to avoid the smoke, breathing through the corner of his mouth and blowing the smoke away from his eyes with forced air from flared nostrils. Holding the bowron upside down, he rubbed the goatskin in circular motion while warming it over the flame. The frustrated Labrador barked up at the fly. Spews of steam lifted and dropped the lid off the potatoes. Steam was condensing on the window. The bar was jammed. In the bar, the musician sat under the window with a table covered with full and empty glasses in front of them, and banged out, "The chicken's gone to Scotland." Ashtrays overflowed and a fog of smoke clung to the ceiling. The two brothers and the Protestant stood with elbows on the high counter at one end, their usual spot. The brother with the waistcoat and the hat had left in rhubarb during the week. An old man with black-rimmed glasses and a black coat sat on a high stool with his back to the wall drinking whiskey at the other end, his usual spot. He left Mass early to be the first in. In between, heads and hands clamoured for stout and chatted and shouted over the music. John Mulvey stood pressed with his back to the door, gripping his pint tight to his chest. The circus man was itching to sing, and the tinker with the cravat and the polio limp waited for his turn to play the tin whistle. Behind the bar, pounds were taken, the till rang and change was returned. Glasses were plushed and washed in cold water on the spot and reused. Pints were lined up in a row, ready for the heads to be put on them. And steam rose from the boiling kettle for the awkward bastard at the hatch that wanted a hot whiskey. It's the middle of June. It's for herself, she's not 100. That old summer cold is hard shook. Jesus wept. Empty glasses clinked as they were collected by the handfuls, and full bottles sighed as their caps were prized off. The optics gurgled, and a blue beer cooler beneath the counter on a beer crate and a tangle of pipes hummed to the demand. An old laundry basket filled steadily with empty bottles that clinked as they were dropped in on top of other. The old man goaded his son-in-law with round cheeks to sing, and the son-in-law started to sing a love song.
As we gather in the chapel here in old Kilmainham jail, I think about these past few weeks. Oh, will they say we failed?
People jostled and stretched and turned to see the singer, and those who didn't or were too short waited patiently, and the volume of the chatter dropped, and there was the sound of someone slowly gulping their first fresh mouthfuls.
From our school days, they have told us we must yearn for liberty, but all I want in this dark place is to have you here with me.
Someone gave out a scolding shh to kill the final mumbles of intense conversation of the cheek-to-cheek brothers discussing the merits of a mare they wanted to buy. They both chuckled the same way and went beefy red behind their pints. The glass washing and till ringing stopped, and pints were supped quietly, or not supped at all.
Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take us out at dawn and I will die. With all my love, I place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye.
John Mulvey straightened himself, lowered his pint, closed his eyes, put out his chest, and his neck tingled as the singer's voice lowered.
Now I know it's hard for you, my love, to ever understand the love I share for these brave men, my love for this dear land.
Others blew slowly upward long draughts of smoke, and vacantly watched as it swirled and began to fray. Some looked studiously downward or took extra long to crush under sole a cigarette butt. And some just picked an imaginary spot on the ceiling and stood savouring every word. And in the stillness, my mother snuck away to prod the roast, the peas, the potatoes and the carrots. The Bowron player never put the carrots back, and they were only half done. That bollocks and his effing Bowron. The love song wafted into the kitchen.
But when Porrick called me to his side down in the GPO, I had to leave my own sickbed. To him I had to go.
She continued prodding the roast with the big timber-handled fork, and the smell escaped from the oven as the big useless lug of a Labrador salivated at her shoulder. In the bar, in the silence of the song, the stout suppers could get the smell of lamb being roasted. Then there was a loud cheer and a clap as the man with round cheeks closed his eyes, jerked his head to beat time, and finish with all he could muster.
There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye.
He then reached for his pint, and his father-in-law wiped under his glasses and blew his nose loudly with the loose handkerchief that he pulled by one corner from his top-cut pocket. The brother with the hat went to bless himself, and the musicians under the window burst forth once more to whoops and cheers and another applause. The till rang and pints were gulped. Then, Guard Ryan, in full uniform, appeared in the door, glaring at the musicians to stop. But they cut straight into another faster tune, and a loud cheer went up. That's the gangly fucker, that fella. Aye, look at the head on him, and annoying him like a goat eating cabbage. Ryan stood in the doorway until everyone drank up and left.
Very good, that was great.
Thanks very
So
much.
tell us a little bit about Conor McManus and Colm Scully.
Well, I suppose the two of us, we've both been writing for, I've been writing for 10 years, Colm has been writing for, how long?
Well, a long time.
20.
Yeah.
So writing poetry and stories, and we come together to do pieces. We've made poetry films together, and
Oh, very good.
yeah.
How can I check out the poetry films?
You can check on my Vimeo site, and we've had a poet just this morning. We learned we had a poetry film that we made together, shortlisted for the Rabbit's Heart Poetry Film Festival in America.
Wow.
So that's the second time we've had that, and we've poetry films shortlisted in Cork as well at the O'Vale Poetry Film Festival. So
Very good. I saw
Check that
actually some are part of Indie Cork as well, maybe.
yeah, it's part of the Indie Cork Festival.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
very good. Brilliant. And of course your attendees or VIPs maybe at this stage at the O'Vale weekly poetry session. We better plug that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, how do we find out more about you? Check out the
Conor
various
McManus.
websites that you'll have,
Colm Scully.
and you'll give us those websites and we'll have them under the video. Well, thanks very much for taking the time to come on the balcony. Check them out, Colm Scully and Conor McManus, and tune in again for another Balcony TV Cork. Slán Tamil.
BalconyTV.